Okay, and we are back. Okay, decided what we're going to go for. We've got a few hours before we need a rest stop, so we'll just grab the next load and keep going. Yeah, it's a dead-end road, so not a lot of traffic coming through here. Yeah, we've got about 3 miles to go for our, basically our pickup site. Hey Michael, how's it going? And it is in here. Okay, yeah. Not sure exactly why there is a grain silo at basically a like Walmart equivalent, but all right. I forgot these loads will always reset your truck time. Still have no idea why there's a grain silo at like the back of a Walmart, but either way, very large load. Should look at the weight of it. I'm not actually sure how heavy this load is. Yeah, and of course at this point I won't be able to tell because we've removed it. Because I don't think it is unusually heavy. I think it is just a large load. You ran a red light today. Semis do not get a special speed limit in Canada. They can run at the same speed as every other car. So whatever the speed limit on the highway is, big rigs can technically do that. That said, most big rigs, basically the companies themselves, will limit the big rigs to around like just a little bit over 100 kilometers an hour, like I think 105, 110. So let's say 65 miles per hour. Whereas, yeah, okay, we'll just go down the middle of the road right here as soon as that trailer's through. Yeah, whereas basically the highest speed limit in BC is 120 kilometers an hour, and big rigs are legally allowed to do that, but they generally are not physically able to do that with company installed speed limiters. Yeah, Canada doesn't have any highways where like where 80 is really a good speed limit for every vehicle to be able to travel. So it's the highest speed limit's 120 kilometers an hour. Meanwhile, 80 miles per hour is basically, I think it's just a bit over 135 kilometers per hour. It's just under 140. So that's not a speed that we have the highways to really just let any car do. Right, I'm limited to 40 miles per hour on this run. So well, this is a really wide section, so we'll stay off to the right, and other traffic can technically pass me. It's got to be a decently heavy load, not much of a hill, and I'm stuck going slow. Milo said that if your cousin helps me, that she's going to get banned. You know, Milo Girl's got a lot of people to ban from a lot of things. Milo Girl's gonna be very busy banning the people that she's banned, especially with the fact that I am refusing to acknowledge the Skittle ban. She's got her work cut out for her. Yes, essentially this run's going to be a relatively long run, simply because I'm basically stuck at doing 40 miles per hour. So what these runs pay really well per mile, but also limit you in some cases to 50% of what you would actually be able to do. Well, Milo's going to have to find a way to enforce the original skill ban before she gets around to banning your cousin from American and Mexican candy. I have mixed feelings about Mexican junk food and Mexican candy. Everything gets spice. You can get basically you can get hot chips, you can get hot candy, you can get hot everything. I like hot foods. I like spicy foods, but I don't want my candy to have heat to it. Yeah, now that'd be one thing where it's hard enough to try to ban me from one type of candy. Trying to ban someone from a bunch of different types of candy, now that's just not going to work at all. All right, well, next time I hit a straightaway, I think I will. I don't really need my mirrors right now. And I've got a guide car. I don't even need to know where the GPS is going to send me. The car will bring me where I need to go. That right there might make a nice shot for the next video. Man, is it hard to drive in this view. You have the easiest one to be banned from for your truck? Yeah, but that does mean Milo has to find your specific truck as well still. I think the person who this is the hardest for is definitely going to be Milo. Okay, let's go back to our in-person view. Get back up to our speed. And then drive right into the sunset. Like any good Western story. The hero rides off into the sunset, carrying a grain silo. I'm sure that was a key part of it. I mean, mine is gonna be a hard one because I just keep eating Skittles anyway. Actually, it's funny. I eat more Skittles since Milo put me on the Skittle ban than I did before Milo put me on the Skittle ban. Because people hear I'm in a Skittle ban and go, well, that's sad, and then buy me Skittles. So then I get more Skittles. Like, I like Skittles, but I didn't exactly go and buy myself Skittles often. And even then, I buy myself more Skittles because now I'm spending more time thinking about Skittles. It's just a vicious cycle. And it's funny because, like, this, with the whole Skittles ban, this is just a sort of silly, funny thing. It's not a serious matter. But the same effect does happen in other things as well. If you try to, like, you go, we don't want this, and you fight hard against that thing, you actually make that thing, like, you basically, anyone who has mild feelings about it suddenly cares more about defending against that. And people put more effort into basically, like, you've now brought it to the forefront of people's minds. So anyone who doesn't agree with your stance now gets pushed to the point to where they more actively fight against it. And the people who don't care, if you basically are sitting there going, no one should buy pies. I hate pies. No one should buy pies, and you campaign against it. You keep telling people about pies. People go, you know what? I really could go for a pie, and they'll go have a pie. Even if you're sitting there trying to explain to everyone why pies are terrible and you should never get pies. What you're really doing is making them think about pies and making them go, you know what? Maybe I'll go have a pie. Basically, anytime that you try to ban something, even if you're a government organization where you can just literally go, no, this thing's illegal, you can't have this thing anymore, you do risk making that thing more popular. Like, the prohibition of alcohol didn't really ever work as a prohibition. All it did was start a black market for alcohol and basically turn alcohol into a thing related to crime. It did not stop drinking. Although there's part of me who would be really curious to see what would America would look like today if the prohibition had just been a complete success. If Americans were like completely, just as a nation, against alcohol and no one drank in America, I think that'd be a weird, like, it would be different. I think that would be one of those things that would have a big enough change that it would actually have a real effect. I just have no clue what that real effect would actually be. And I doubt it would be a effect, like I doubt it would be a change really for better or worse. It would just be different. Sun is set. We are now riding into the dusk. Set our cruise control to 42 miles per hour because 42 is the meaning of life. For a second there, I was confused at what was on the horizon there. Like, is that a giant, like, white tree farm? But it is not. That is satellite dishes. That is a observatory. We actually have a observatory very close to where I live, and the observatory close to where I live, I've been there a whole bunch of times. I've been there once as like a tourist to actually just go check out what they do. But the observatory that I've been to the observatory a bunch of times because the last job I had, um, we would deliver them equipment and repair their equipment. So I'd be there to look at their forklifts and their telehandlers because they had a lot of basically they had a lot of things to move around. When they needed to move their dishes around, they end up basically using a forklift to do so. Why did you suddenly slam on the brakes, car? That was rude. Yeah, I have to say, I feel like if I was hauling heavy cargo in real life, I would probably find it boring because one of the things you drive slow, so it's a trip that takes a lot of time and it's not really there's no excitement to it at all. You're just very slowly going down the roads, and but you have to be very vigilant. You have a very wide load. Basically, in this case, I'm probably about a lane and a half wide, which isn't actually that bad. Like a lane and a half width is actually relatively all right, all things considered. But either way, oh, we're going down to speed limit 30 because that's actually what the speed limit is here. But yeah, so I'm a lane and a half wide, which is not terrible, but it does mean that I need to be like that power line pole coming up on the right side. I need to make sure that I'm not so far over that I'm going to hit it. Whenever we're going around a bend, I have to make sure that I'm not far enough out that I'm going to hit any of the traffic that's on the other lane, but also don't track in so far that I'm going to hit anything on the inside edge. Basically, there's not a lot of clearance, so I need to be careful of where I can hit things all the time. And so this is one of those things of it's not exciting to be constantly watching for that. It's just kind of tiring. All right, back up to 40. And basically, I'm following this speed limit because I can't do 45. The cop car won't let me do that. And I have the cruise set, so it just goes up by increments of 5 miles per hour. So it's just easier to actually set it to 40. it's a bit finicky to set it to 42, so we'll just leave it at 40. We have 3 hours of this delivery left. Yep, Michael, I agree. Hashtag free the Skittles. Which now I'm just sitting there like, and that's the thing. Even in the game here, I'm like looking at other things. So I think, yeah, my garage is I can't hire any more. For me to hire any more truckers, I need to get another garage. So then at some point I have to decide, where do I put my next garage? Do I go to like the other side of the country? Do I go down into Mexico? Do I start somewhere very central? Like, do I put it in Utah or maybe Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, somewhere in here? I don't know. Hey Shep, how's it going? I would love to put my garage in Texas, but I actually need to buy the Texas DLC before that can happen. And the Texas DLC is not terribly, terribly expensive, but it's one of those things where it really adds up over time. Like, let's on my phone here at the same time while doing this. Bad trucking things. Don't do this. If you're driving something, don't. Yeah, I'm like something changed there. I accidentally shifted down. What is? Okay, my phone won't do this, so I will quickly pause the game to take a look at the Steam page. Oh wait, Barotrauma released. Interesting. Barotrauma is now finally out. Yeah, so the Texas DLC, just to basically add Texas to this game, would cost me $22 dollars and 49 cents. So it's one of those where it's good DLC, but that's a lot of money to add to the game just to be able to add Texas. Oh, I did not put it back to you. That's a lot of money to add just to be able to add Texas to the game. Basically, if I had bought all my DLCs at that sort of price, this game would have cost me several $100s already. And I'm not quite sure how much money I spent on this game, but I know it has not been quite that high. Not yet, anyway. Yep, I could buy a lot of Skittles for $23. So that's, I'll probably wait for Texas to go on sale for at least like 30 to 50%, because paying $12 for the Texas DLC seems like a much better deal than paying 23. So I'm here for a candy black market. So I already like candy. By making a candy black market, you're just making candy more exciting. Okay. So this drops down to 55, which I don't have to adjust for because we're already doing 40. But is this going to adjust down to like 30 or 35? Now it looks like we bypassed the majority of the town. It sure is a shame I can't reasonably have my brights on, because when my brights on I can see a lot more, but also basically I'd be blinding the crap out of the cop car in front of me if I just drove everywhere with my brights on. Alright, yeah, so no ceiling drop and we're back up to speed. Of course, we got a guardrail tight on my right side. So that does mean I can't go over too far that way. It's really nice where you got that wide shoulder and it's basically like, I've got 2 lanes to work with. I can just sort of straddle the shoulder and then ignore everything else. Okay, hour 15 from the destination, so it's getting relatively close. Although at 40 miles an hour, we're still going to be a while before we get there. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know how to actually check what cities have a garage. know most of the major cities do have garages, but I know not every city does either. And I kind of want to, I think I want to kind of spread out the garages across the section of the country I can be in. And I'm trying to think. I think I'm limited on how many garages I can have, but it's still some. It's like something like 5 garages, which that's a lot. That would be 25 drivers, so not exactly a small amount. And we just go wide. And yep, made the corner nicely. Carry on our way. It is now 1 in the morning. So it'll be 2 in the morning before we have a chance to basically move on to the next thing, which I think I'm just going to immediately go to bed and pick up a new load in the morning. Saves me from having to do all my driving at night. We're only 11 miles from our destination, but I still can't see where we turn off on the road towards our destination. So 8 miles. Okay, that's got to be our turnoff up ahead. We are 5 miles from our destination. Okay, there I see our destination flag pop up. So we're going to make a left off the highway, and then our destination is close by a hand. And we've discovered Ellie, or Eli. So it looks like this comes to a end in a T, but we basically get to ignore the red light and just get to roll right on through. Then there's going to be another left off of the highway. But of course we get to just roll through another red light. Gotta love just being able to ignore all traffic signs. But of course, here we are actually stuck in traffic. But I actually wonder how this is going to go. Okay, yeah, so the traffic's just going to go through straight. Honestly, the cop car they're blocking this side of the road is doing nothing. But nothing really needed to be done, so I guess that's fine. Hotel Nevada, Western Hospitality. You know, I've never really heard about Western Hospitality. I've heard a lot about Southern Hospitality. Western Hospitality is not really a thing I've heard heard people talk about. I may have made a mistake. Which let's do this. Oh, yep. I mean, getting out of first person view was a mistake there. Yeah. There, that will go past. Now I need to try to straighten this out, which is going to be an absolute pain in the butt. There. But we did get it. You got in trouble for calling Milo a giant yesterday? Alright, well, I'll just hop over there and get some sleep. It definitely feels like I should just build a drive through here. I'm actually kind of surprised the game's going to let me do this. It's one of those areas that's not marked on the map as the area that you can drive, so I kind of thought there was going to be an invisible wall or something to stop me from driving over that. I'm happy to see there wasn't. But hey, I am free of my speed limit, free of my escort. I can just do what I want. However, do what I want. Yeah, well, we'll pretend like this is a turn left while green situation. I feel like this game does have a unrealistic number of left turn lights. You know, most of the states I've been to, most of them it's just you get a green light. If you need to turn, you turn. That's what it comes down to. Okay. So where do I need to go to get the thing to trigger? Okay. So that seems like a small amount of space for that, but right over here it triggers, so that is where we'll sleep. Okay. Let's see. If we wanted to set up a garage in New Mexico, where would we want to go for that? Okay, there. So that's every garage that we could buy. So there are 5 options in New Mexico. Okay, there. See, let's turn on city names. There. So we have an option in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Farmington, Roswell, and Las Cruces. I actually think I kind of want to go for Roswell. I think I'm going to go try to buy a shop in Roswell when I can. Not a lot of options in Nevada. It's Las Vegas, Carson City, and Elko. That's it. Oh, and Reno. So, I mean, that's all right. They're just really spread to the outer edges of Las Vegas, which is fair. Nothing exists in the middle of Las Vegas. Because I have the one in Wenatchee. I could also have one I could basically get all my garages in Washington. I could have one in Kennewick, one in Spokane, Seattle, and Olympia. But that would really not be what I go for. I feel like Elko might actually be a good option as a very close to center one. All right, well, I think I'm going to take that load. We'll do a delivery to Arizona. Well, there's a lot of left turn lights down south, which I don't have an issue with that, but it seems to me like there's just an unrealistic amount total, because even in the northwestern states, there just seems to be way more than I've encountered. Which I should take a look at my. Oh, actually, let's take a look at the bank. If I take out the maximum size loan I can I pay down the original $400,000 loan? Nope. I am. So at this point, I need to pay off 377,000, and with all loans taken out, I have 268,000. So realistically, I just need to be able to take out like 2 $100,000 loans, but the game won't let me take out that much. So we have to wait till we're up past 200,000. That is fine. I've only got one driver out on the road. Oh, no, it's yeah, okay. I don't know why it was just showing me that one driver. It's drive got a basically my one driver at home base, and the other drivers are all on a journey. But anyway, let's take a look. They all seem to be leveling up nicely. Paul will be ready to basically put to balanced learning soon. Maria has got a way to go. The earnings for Matthew and Annette seem to be pretty standard. The other, like Paul's coming along nicely, and Maria's actually doing pretty well as well. So all in all, it looks good. So I'm pretty sure that green lights only turn green when you're not looking. What that really means is I spend too much time looking away, but still, I'm going to blame it on the green light rather than accept responsibility for myself. I mean, that's definitely one of those things of that is absolutely the way it feels. I'm actually going to stop in here for fuel before I go pick up a trailer, because getting a trailer into here is probably a lot less fun than just stopping here when I don't have a trailer. Because I don't have a problem fueling up with a trailer, but if you can go without a trailer, why not? Just make your life easier. So we are currently about 2 days away from the next Steam sale, and I'm kind of trying to decide if there's anything on the next Steam sale that I might want to get. If there's a game that I would like to get either for streaming or just for playing multiplayer or whatever. Oh, I need to stop on that. There. Let's see. We can change that for a longer trailer. That actually makes it pay less per mile, but makes it pay out more total. That is kind of weird. Wait, no, it makes it pay out less. So currently, this job pays $58 a mile, $50,000 total, and is 46,000 pounds. If I go for the larger fuel tank, this job then pays out $44,051 a mile and is 41,000 pounds. No, the smaller trailer adds more weight. Something's wrong here. So 41,000 pounds of diesel in the long trailer is but 46,000 pounds of diesel in the short trailer. Meanwhile, the other one that pays the most is 43,000 pounds short, and it goes down when the trailer gets longer. That's weird. Something's broken. Oh, don't want to back away. I mean, I won't complain. I'm getting paid more to deliver the shorter trailer, and the shorter trailer is just easier. So I won't complain. This seems like a win to me. Oh, that was still reversing. Or that was not reversing. I needed to be reversing. on the road we go. Oh, and it's a good thing I stopped that fuel station because it's also in actually the wrong direction. It's really close by, so it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But also it would mean that I would have to turn 180 degrees because I have to do a U-turn coming out of it onto the highway, which would be less than ideal. I'd end up having to take a much tighter turn to get back on the road in the right direction. Of course, there's always got to be a tree on the corner, right? Just so you can't see if traffic is coming or not. All right, we're clear that way. And we're clear. We can take it as a wide turn. Let's set our cruise for 80. Don't know that I actually want to be doing 80 along this road, but that's where we're setting our cruise anyway. Therefore, a little bit last week, I was using Jess's recommendation of using a straw to drink, so that way I didn't have to like look away from the screen while drinking. But I'm back to being an idiot this week. So whenever I take a drink, I am basically blind for a moment. Just have to hope that I'm set good and straight on the straightaway to not suddenly start veering off the road. Alright, so we've got 14 hours till our delivery is due, and we have less than 13 hours before our next rest stop. So we are going to have to take a rest stop along the way. So basically I'm just going to drive till it gets dark, and when it seems about right, I'll just take the next rest stop. We're not on a big time crunch. We are at 1 in the afternoon, so we have plenty of time to be able to decide when it first starts getting dark to be able to make it to the next rest stop. Also, I need to shift up since I was kind of over revving all that. You think I would have learned the sound of that engine is kind of pulling at max RPM, time to shift, but I have not learned that sound. I wonder what part of me, like when I'm driving a car, that's not a problem having a car. I never sit in a low gear just going at high RPM. I'm always looking to make that next shift in a car. Like on my motorbike, it is because motorbikes rev high. I am constantly wanting to shift in 7th gear. My bike doesn't have a 7th gear. All my bikes are 6 speeds. But I am constantly trying to shift into 7th gear, and it just is a case of RPMs are high, so my brain goes, you should shift. And I'm like, RPMs are not actually high. I'm in my highest gear. This is our cruising speed. This is fine. But my brain always wants to upshift. But this game doesn't seem to be it. I would have thought it was the sound, and I just don't know if it's because of the fact that it's not a real engine sound. My brain doesn't trigger on it, or if there's something else, something physical in a vehicle that makes me go, yep, it is time to shift. Oh, sorry truck. I'm going to have to cut that back tight. It was probably double solid where we were as well. I did not actually look at whether it was dotted line or not. I'm pretty sure it was probably double solid. I didn't look at whether it was legal to pass. I just looked at whether it was safe to pass. And I decided it was when it was obviously incorrect because, well, that was not really a safe pass. Also, we're going to drop the speed a little bit. 80 is not a good speed for this road in a big rig. Very nice, pretty mountains we're going past, though. Not big mountains. Like, these are small mountains, but pretty mountains. Yep. Just got in on that one good. Ah, yes, let's go more into the mountains. I like this idea. So we are 12 and a half hours from our destination at 2:30. So we'll basically spend the majority of our morning getting to the job site tomorrow morning, and then we can pick up a new load around lunchtime and be on our way with something new. Where we'll be going at that point, I don't know yet. Also, I'm doing 80 miles an hour again. I don't need to be doing 80 miles an hour on this road. As I proved, I'm not a responsible enough adult to be able to manage doing 80 miles an hour along this road. Gotta love it when you set out across a big flat valley like this and the road basically just kind of straightens out and does nothing for a few miles. The mountains where we live are a little too steep. You don't get a lot of these big flat valleys. But I do actually really like these big flat valleys. We basically have got mountains around the edges, but then it sort of flattens out and it just like sort of flat, soft dirt the whole way across. The sort of landscape you get in the salt flats. Yeah, 75 miles an hour over here is a little bit quick, but also is doing all right. We're doing fine here, so I'm gonna carry on with this speed. I'm trying to decide whether I would like this game to offer the ability to do trucker logs while you go, basically actually log all the time you spend properly, or if that would just be tedious. Like the entire game could arguably be called tedious, so why not add the feature, and if people want to use it, let them. If not, don't force them. I think it could be kind of cool. Alright, I really hope you're turning left. Yes, they are turning left. We are going to go right. Alright, 100 miles to Las Vegas. I feel like anytime you go through Nevada, you basically just end up having to go through Las Vegas just because all roads lead Las Vegas or something. I don't know. Basically, there's nothing in the middle of Nevada. Nevada is one of those weird states where it's like there's just like a black hole going through the middle of the state. Nothing to be done about it. All the cities and roads kind of just stay to the outer edges of it. I've also seen a video of I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was in Nevada. Oh, that was a military fighter jet overhead. All right, what are these signs about? Road construction. Yeah, road construction. Yeah, I remember watching a video of it was I think it was road that goes through Nevada that basically got washed out in a storm, and he was like in an off-roading vehicle, so he decided to go for it anyway, and he came across so many people who were in like cars. There's even one guy in a motorbike who was trying to go along the road, but the road had basically been washed by the storm, so it was like covered in rocks and um, sand and everything else. And it was like basically just an uncrossable road. It was like ridiculous. The people who thought that they're like there was people in SUVs that just couldn't make it because they didn't have the ground clearance and a rugged enough vehicle. But just seeing some of the people who thought they'd be able to make that trip just was baffling. You'd have this like because it was one of those things was just road, and the whole thing being is one of those roads that connects. Like it goes through nowhere, it goes through the middle of nowhere, but it connects places. So if you try to avoid roads like that, you got to take a really long way around. So it's understandable why people want to take the road. It's going to be way shorter than anything else. But it's right through the middle of nowhere, and storms washed it out, and these people just don't check ahead to see what it is. And when they see that the road's washed out, they don't look at it and go, well, maybe I should turn around and find a different way or cancel the trip. They go, oh, well, I guess I'll try. And it's like, you're out in the middle of nowhere. Who's going to save you if you get stuck out here? But yeah, but that's the thing. Where we live, people do the same thing in snowstorms. There's every year, at least a couple people die in a snowstorm because they tried driving through a snowstorm and couldn't make it, and then make like if you get hit by a snowstorm and you just go, no, I can't carry on. Honestly, what you want to do is stop, just stop there, and basically cycle your vehicle, like run it when you have to, and turn it off when it's warm enough. But basically, just run it enough to keep yourself warm enough to keep yourself from freezing, and that's it. Don't leave your vehicle. Don't try to drive the vehicle when the conditions are so bad that you're going to go off the road if you uh, basically can't make it. Because if you're on the road when the snowstorm is done, you're going to get found by other vehicles. If you leave your car or your car leaves the road, now you're stuck in a situation that's really dangerous. So many people, they get stuck in a snowstorm, their car gets stuck on the road, and like people will find the car. The car is empty, there's no one in it. And then, rescue workers will go out looking for these people, and they get found like lost somewhere off of the road, frozen to death, and just it doesn't make any sense why they left their car, but they still do it. But people make really poor choices when they're in a stressful survival situation. Um, there's a phenomenon, and I don't remember the name of it, but people who are stuck in a situation where um, they think they're like basically in a situation where they go, no, this is a survival situation. I need to be very careful and really manage my supplies well. And what will happen is these people will actually starve to death. Well done. Now you just made a mess for everyone. This is the fault of the cement truck. They should not have, like that truck was coming over. That was obviously what was happening, and they did not leave at the space. Okay, back on the road. Yeah, so the phenomenon is that people in a survival situation where they know how to manage their supplies carefully, they will starve to death whilst like they have food. They have food, but they're so determined to just make that, oh God, can't waste my food, that they don't eat the food and then die of starvation. People, when it's a stressful situation, people panic and don't actually make the smart choices. They make really poor choices and don't manage the important things well enough. And that's how you get people who they basically get driven to do something like to survive this I have to do something, so they leave a car, and it's like, no, just staying where you were was your best chance. All you had to do is wait for the storm to pass, and then someone would come and find you. Even if no one comes looking for you, if you're on a road that's traveled relatively often, someone is going to find you. You just have to wait for it. In the case of you're like lost in the wilderness on your own, starving, yeah, you can't just wait for people to find you necessarily. If people knew where you were going to go, you're best often to kind of stay. Basically, think about where people would start looking for you and go there. There's been a lot of times where somebody went out camping and their vehicle broke down, but their vehicle broke down basically where they were planning on going camping. So what they do is they grab their supplies and they start hiking back to civilization. But they go, well, I'm going to take, and like they kind of just like they pick a route that makes the most sense to them. Or they're like, okay, I'm not going to like take the road back. I'm not going to walk the road back the way I came because that's way too long. I'm going to try to do this as a crow flies. I'm going to try to just walk straight through the wilderness towards the nearest settlement. The problem they run into is that the nearest settlement is like, if you walk directly towards it, yes, it would be quicker, but you're probably going to get lost. You're probably going to not actually see which way you are actually going. You're going to get mixed up and start walking in directions that are not actually towards the nearest settlement. And now no one knows where to look for you. No one, like rescue workers come and they find the broken down car. They find the spot where you're going to go camping. They check the road back. If you started walking back along the road, they can check that road. But if you just hiked out into the middle of nowhere and got lost along the way, they have no way of knowing where that is. So they canvass the area, but chances of finding you are now pretty low. If you stayed with a vehicle, your chances were pretty decent. Moral of the story is, if you're ever in a life and death survival sort of situation, just try to stay at the most obvious to look position. If rescue workers come looking for you and you're with your broken down car, that's probably the highest chance of them finding you. So if you're going to leave your car, at the very least, leave a note in the car explaining where you're going um, and why. That gives them an idea of where to go looking for you. It's a thing of in most really like basically sort of accidental survival situations like that, people don't end up saving themselves. That's a lot more common for rescue workers to find the person than it is for the people to successfully have made it out of their situation on their own. Still beautiful mountains around. I like these nice, soft, cold mountains that have been. Like they say, they're interesting terrain without being giant obstacles that make it impossible to build roads. So you don't have to have these really tight, twisty roads here, but you still have a really nice landscape. Of course, as soon as they try to pass these through trucks, I'm sure there'll be suddenly a line of cars behind me, and then I'll feel bad. I'll still continue to pass the trucks at just barely a little bit more than they're doing, but I'll feel bad while I do it, I promise. I think it is at this point 8, or I guess it's 7:30 in the evening. It's time to start thinking about where we want to stop for the night. Okay, so we could stop for gas and sleeping in Kingsman or Kingman, not Kingsman. Over here we have one that is both rest stop. So how far away is that? 3 hours away, a little bit longer than I would like. That'll have us stop at 10. But you know what? I think that's the one I'll go with. It'll be close enough. Oh, I suspect, by the way, that doesn't want me to go across the road there. I may not actually be able to stop at that one. Hmm. All right, well, maybe I will just end up. All right, whatever. We'll just keep going and sort this out as we go. I'll go without a plan. All right. to the weigh scale. Don't know if I should be offended that I'm the only truck pulled into this one, or happy that I don't have to wait on any other traffic when pulling into this one. Of course, they're not actually going to give me enough space to merge in really well. But that actually went quite well. Also managed to get up almost to speed limit before getting onto the road there, which does help with the fact that speed limit was particularly low there, but still, quite happy with that. That is not the way that normally goes. Ugh. Just stuck in traffic. I think what we're going to do is actually just go straight through. We'll grab fuel and then stop at the service shop. May as well repair the truck at the time and then sleep and then be back on our way. Of course, this does mean that we are going to be in the situation of having shortened our, like, it's hard. Basically, the amount of time you're allowed to spend legally driving means that it's hard to kind of stretch out. Basically, if you go to bed early at some point, it's hard to then move that up again later. That's at that point, you basically have to waste a day to try to sort of reset that. I do wish the game would let you go, all right, even if I go to bed early, I'd still like to wake up at this time to avoid shifting my whole schedule earlier. I like to sleep in. I know if I was a truck driver, there would still be a tendency to sleep in any time that it made sense. If I can get away with sleeping in, I will sleep in. Alright, make the turn over here to get fuel. Man, my brain really doesn't want to read this place as Kingman. Like, to me, Kingman sounds stupid. Kingsman sounds perfectly fine. Kingsman sounds perfectly fine. Kingsman, Kingsman, Kingman. My brain just does not want to accept that as a valid name. All right, we'll start this turn wide. As per usual, this will probably be the wrong way to go through, and there'll probably be like a right way to go through, and then I'll get like stuck because other people are going to try to come in, and I went in the wrong way. I could be wrong. It's just that seems to happen quite a lot. All right, then we're going to leave this way. So we can easily drop into the repair shop over here. Why are you... Stop. This is not a red light. I have a stop sign. That's all that's going on here. Am I that far out that, I... Nope, the fact that people stop in there confuses me. That doesn't make any sense. If you don't start going in a moment here, I'm just gonna go. Okay, somewhere in the game logic, I must be pulled out far enough that the game wants to go, well, obviously you're pulling onto the road, and people are gonna stop, that's very unrealistic. If you're pulled out and you're in the way, people are just going to honk at you and then do their best to like swerve around you. They're not gonna stop. All right, let's just do the repair. Let's take a quick look at the truck configurator and just see if there's anything. Ooh, we can get bigger fuel tanks. I'm going to get bigger fuel tanks. There's no reason not to get bigger fuel tanks. Oh, I didn't actually mean to set that as done. Oh, and we have unlocked all of the... So that's the biggest fuel tank we can get. And that's the... I'm going to make the switch to a Cummins engine. I thought we could get bigger engines than that. I didn't think we were like at the maximum. But whatever. So the only thing that we're basically left waiting on is at level 20 we get a better or a bigger sleeper, which really doesn't matter at all, but why not? Why not take it? You know, if we take a look, what I am driver level 19. So yeah, next level up, I'll get the last of the unlocks. Say, hey there, Michael. Not sure why you're saying hey there. You've okay. Now where is the sleeping part of this? Just over here along the side? I was also very confused because when I got my vehicle repaired, they turned me around. This is a terrible way to be parking for this, but we're doing it. All right, onto the road. Your mom wants you to move out into an apartment? Yeah, I don't live in an apartment, and I am very happy to not live in an apartment. I would live in an apartment if that was what it took, because apartments are fine. But living in a house is just a lot nicer, even a small house. I actually really like small houses. And they used to make small houses, but I remember in my childhood, people would be buying up all these small houses and either breaking them down to build bigger houses or expanding on them to make them way bigger. And it's like, I like having a detached house. I like having a little bit of land around the house. I don't want to I don't need a big house. I want a house that's big enough for me, and that's it. Like I don't have any kids. I don't have a need for fitting a lot of people in the house. I just want enough space for me. And that's why houses used to be built. They're not built that way anymore. So it's either you live in an apartment or you live in a large house. And I'm happy now to be living in an apartment. My house is definitely very tiny, but it is also it is old. It has a lot of issues with it. I would love to have a house very similar to what I have right now, but newer. Yeah, that's as a light sleeper. So people who are light sleepers, like, cause I know quite a few people who are light sleepers who live in apartments, and most of them basically got earplugs. They sleep with earplugs in, and that basically improved their apartment experience a lot. Basically, it helped a lot of them get enough sleep. They weren't getting enough sleep until they got earplugs. And for me personally, why are we coming to a stop? It's a yield and there's no one coming. Uh, that was dumb. Probably realistic, but dumb. Honestly, the my sort of like dream for what I'd love to do is buy a small piece of property on the outs like away from a city a little bit. Still close enough that I can get like high-speed internet, but not close enough to really be inside the city. And buy like just a modular home and drop it down on the land and go, yep, here. Because that's like modular homes are built small because of the fact that you have limits of how big they can be built to be transported. No one, like if a house is built traditionally, no one has a small home. I could also like try to get a small house built. And that's definitely, when I say small house, I mean small house, not like a tiny home. Tiny homes are too small for me. I need more space than that, but I don't like the like so many people I know have bought houses. They've bought these giant houses. Like I know one of the guys I worked with, when he basically lived in a tiny apartment. When he moved out of the tiny apartment, he bought a house. But it was a two-story house, and they literally just don't use the upper floor. The upper floor just doesn't get used. There's nothing in it. There's like it gets used. Like they store some stuff in up there, but that's it. They if you just removed the upper floor, their house would be fine. It'd be the right size for them. It'd still be giant for them. Like has a huge living room, huge kitchen, all of that, and just the two of them. But yeah, it just giant house, and it was just they bought it in a neighborhood they liked, so they have a house that sort of fits in with the neighbors, and the whole thing just seems silly to me. And we've got some big rig passing the left lane who's tapping his brakes. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure this turns down into one lane here. That's what's going on. speed limit here is 55, but we're definitely not doing that. Down to 45. Okay, and now we're getting to the area where I had originally hoped to sleep for the night. Just realized the bus company is called Farland, and I feel like that's a good name for a bus company. For if you're transporting passengers, Farland is. I enjoy it. I think that it would be one of those names that would become very easy to become synonymous with with a busing company. Makes more sense than Greyhound, honestly. I mean, not that Greyhound doesn't make sense. Yeah, so we could have totally used this rest stop. The map just doesn't basically the map wants to treat it as if you can't turn there, but you even get a turning lane to get in there. So we could have used it. I just wasn't sure about taking the risk. But I do know for next time, if I come along this road, I can pull over there. It is fine. Alright, well no, I'm going faster in this car, but there's no point in pulling out of this lane since I have to turn off of the highway here in a hurry. And there's a red light ahead. Alright. It's definitely not looking far enough ahead on the actual roadway. I was looking at the map. That green light did not stay green for very long. Could barely get into the intersection before it went yellow. I really want to just like go right past the car to make this turn, but nope, that's not the responsible adult thing to do. We may not be responsible adults, but we're going to totally fake it. All these roads here are new. Oh, I about to say all these roads are new to me. Or are we really going places I've never gone before? But therefore, like we cross this. So we've been to Phoenix before. We're going to be coming through Phoenix. We've been along those roads. Then all the rest of that trip will actually, yeah, will still be stuff that we do not normally go along. And we still got a fair ways to go on our trip. That helicopter is moving really quick. And it's not that helicopters can't move quick, but that just seems most helicopters like do not move that quickly. So is your sister younger or older than you? Because I'm assuming your sister lives at home as well. Okay. Because yeah, I imagine when the time comes for your sister to actually move out of the house, if she's a lighter sleeper than you, I think that's probably going to be a tough journey. Why you started to go and then you just stopped? Why, car? Why? You don't have to make sense, but it sure would help me if you did. Oh, sorry, she's older. You're younger, so she's older than you, and she still lives at home. Are your parents also suggesting that she moves out as well, or is it just you that they're suggesting moves out? How have we been losing money? It seems like we've been losing money. Oh wait, no, we're losing money because I upgraded my truck. Ah, damn it. I made that corner without looking ahead, and there is a road closure there. So we can't make that turn. I don't think that's going to be too big of a... Well, if we'd gone straight, that would be no big deal because we could just make that next turn. But, all right, well, it is what it is. We're going to make do with what we get. I've driven through Phoenix. Yeah, I've apparently never actually discovered Phoenix before. I'm just going to stay in the right lane because we're going to immediately take the exit and do a big U-turn. Yeah, living in an apartment or living in like a noisy complex can be a lot easier if you're a heavy sleeper. Although that said, it doesn't, being a heavy sleeper doesn't mean that it's easy to fall asleep with a bunch of different noise. Like my wife is a much lighter sleeper than I am, but she can fall asleep in a car. She can fall asleep anywhere. In fact, falls asleep better with noise. But she is also very easily woken up. Whereas with me, I fall asleep quickly, but only if I'm in a dark, quiet place. If my bedroom is very much dark, quiet, because that's how I fall asleep easily. But then once I'm asleep, I am basically passed out. All right, Big Rig, if you're gonna go, go, because right now you're just going to contribute to blocking traffic. Someone cost me $500. That's terrible. I demand better from them. I'm amused because the way the computer drivers work in this game, they'll never actually try to find, like, they don't just link job to job to job. They will always try to find, like, they find one job at home, and then they try to find a job that brings them back home from there. And if they can't find one, they just drive back home empty. They always, like, it's like they're never, if they do one trip out and one trip back, that's every single time they do that. That's never basically a trip. Basically, so if we have them at home, they never drive from home to location A, from location A to location B, from location B to C, from C to home. They always drive from home to A to home to B, B to home. They never link them together. I think that's one of the reasons why and Juan and Jeff could probably correct me on this, but like as an American truck driver, one of the ways to make money as an American truck driver is still to basically live completely in your truck, so that you don't have a home that you need to be home at for the weekends or any of that, where they just go, nope, just wherever the load takes me is where I go. So it says to stay in the right lane, but it does not tell me why to stay in the right lane. Alright, well, we're getting closer to our destination. 150 miles left to go. That will give us a decent amount of money again, but we're still not going to be at the point of being able to pay off our loan. That'll take some time. But at some point, I do want to stop by a garage and just see how much a new garage is going to cost me. Which, of course, a new garage is going to cost me more than more than they necessarily will flat out say that it cost me, because just buying the garage doesn't help me. That doesn't make me any money. I need to fill it with drivers and trucks for it to make me money. And that's if I was trying to sort of cheese the game, I could get the garage filled with trucks for about $500,000. I can basically buy a fleet of trucks for $100,000 each. But that's trucks with no sleepers, no anything. And as far as I can tell, the game doesn't care. The truck drivers don't make different journeys based on the truck you give them. Like giving them a truck with a small engine versus a large engine, they don't really drive any differently. They don't make you any more or less money, but the cost of the vehicle is significantly changed. But basically, I'm going to give the drivers trucks that I would actually be willing to drive in the game. So no one is left with a crappy vehicle. So that of course drives up the cost. Basically all the trucks are going to cost me about twice as much. Although at some point I might also start buying my truck drivers unique trucks, because that also means I get a quick chance. Basically, when I first buy the truck, I could hop in it and see how I like it. Gives me a chance to drive things that I don't normally drive. a big roadblock for basically a lane that goes from being three, or from a road that goes from being 3 lanes to 2 lanes. Or not a big road. Big, like basically the traffic was really piling up for a really minor closure. The left lane basically wasn't being used at all. All the traffic could have just moved over one lane and moved completely unslowed. And that is where the traffic in this game is not perfect. There are times where things will sort of grind to a halt, where in real life this would have been a complete non-issue. It wouldn't have been an inconvenience even. Okay, we're a half hour away from our destination. We should be coming over shortly. We're 30 miles out. And we're making good time. One of those nice, smooth highways that lets you carry a lot of speed. Alright, 20 miles out. So we're not taking this, so we're still through the next exit. 15 miles out. See our destination. We are 5 miles out. So we are taking the next exit. Let's see where we're delivering this diesel to. Hey noob, how's it going? Looks like, yeah, that will be where it is headed to. Just past the car dealership here, there's a gas station. Bringing diesel to a gas station is probably a very sensible location for it. Oh. I was tapping the brake there. I am transporting diesel. So I'm transporting diesel and am taking it to a gas station. Of course, I have to. Oh, this is annoying. I have to check in on this side, and then I have to go across the way. And I have to back it in on this side. Well, it's not going to be bad. Like, it's not going to be hopefully overly difficult, because I'm just going to pull this out onto the middle of the road, block traffic. I think there's rules on how long I'm allowed to block traffic for. Like, not in the game. The game doesn't really care one way or the other. But in real life, now this is exactly what would happen in real life. People don't pay attention to what's going on. You're not helping the situation, car. Okay, now, well, so no, there's no traffic here when I started. But of course, now that I'm at like the point of going to back it up, traffic just turns into a nightmare. Alright, we'll let the traffic get by, and then we will just readjust. Right, I want to be going forward, not backward. Forgot to actually shift on that. Traffic still speed, this way. I may have gone a little bit too far, but this is a lot easier to fix when I'm backing in on the side that I can see than on the side that I've got the mirrors only. And this is a thing that is true of real trucking. Basically, truckers will call the other side of the truck the blind side, and this side, I actually don't know what they call this side, but I do know that they basically call the other side the blind side, because you can't see a whole bunch on that side. Meanwhile, this side you have much better visibility, and it's a lot better to be backing out on it. Okay, level 20. Which means finally get the last stage of upgrades. Get the high-rise sleeper and get the majority of the upgrades. Well, let's look for where the nearest truck shop is so that we can do our upgrades. There's not one down here, but there is one up here. So let's go over. This will be a dealership, I'm pretty sure. But let's go over to it. It'll be a bit of a long drive to do with no trailer. Normally I would try to get a load to go across, but we are just going to do a bobtail for now. Yeah, Michael, my wife is one of those people, like, she can fall asleep. She could probably fall asleep to the sound of power equipment. But if you just suddenly use power equipment next to her, she is going to wake up. She is not a deep sleeper. But sound does not stop her from falling asleep. But usually it has to be more like a constant rhythmic sound for it to really work. Basically, sudden changes in sound will wake her up. But if you're just like cruising down the highway, doesn't matter how loud that is, she'll be able to fall asleep during it. But if you even if you had the windows open, she'd still be fine. But if you were to suddenly, like, if she fell asleep in a sitting like a car that wasn't moving, and you then start to drive, that would wake her up. Every time things change, it wakes her up. But when things are just going the same. She can stay asleep for it. So she can fall asleep in some really interesting situations, but still not a heavy sleeper. Yeah, after hauling a bunch of weight around, suddenly driving a big rig without any load feels like driving a sports car, which is why I'm doing 95 in a 75 zone. Just feeling the freedom, driving it like a convertible, pedal to the metal. Getting experience for every mile of free roam I do. Not a lot of it, but still getting it. Okay, then we just take the exit right here. Don't actually know which way this bus is turning. Oh yeah, there is a signal light. Signal light is a little bit late, but there is the signal light. So I think I do. Oh, turning really wide because the game. I'm playing in a controller. Basically, I can't actually. It takes a long time for the steering wheel to move from lock to lock, which when you're stopped, doesn't matter. It just takes a long time. But when you're moving a bit quicker, suddenly making sharp corners with a little bit of speed becomes problematic. All right, let's configure the truck. We get that high-rise sleeper, get that good full big rig look. Though I'd love to get a sleeper with the windows up above and just lets more natural light in. I'd want those in real life. And then we've got the best engines and transmission. We got basically everything that's set up the way I want. There's not really. That's a very pretty paint job. Actually, I think I like that paint job better. It's a bit more subtle. They're very nice paint jobs, but I do not actually. I like the plain truck look. Oh, that's interesting. Aero covers. Oh, either way, I don't really feel like I want any of those. Oh, and I can get a headache rack. We will do that. I think with that, we've got everything configured as close to the way I want as I'm going to get. confirm that order. And then let's manage our trucks. And we're going to do upgrades to all of them. And this is probably going to leave us with very little money by the time this is done. But that is okay. All right, they already have the bull bars. Yeah, let's get on the headache rack. I think that's everything. Although we're not gonna be able to do all of them quite like that yet. But we've got the first truck matching mine. That is good enough for now. Let's see what we stole. We stole $370,000 on that loan, but I also assume Juan is working. It is, after all, he should have gone picked up his truck and basically been back to work. Although I do know that he was not happy with basically not happy with the battery situation. So hopefully that means that they have either resolved it and he's off to work, or the reason he might be busy and not commenting anything is because he's arguing it out with his bosses on whether he's willing to continue working with them sorting out the batteries. Because basically, he's been dealing with the batteries every time he shut off his truck, there was like a chance that his truck might not start up again because the batteries would always be too low to start the truck again. Whether that's a charging issue or a battery issue is really kind of beside the point. It's a case that they just test the batteries and go, yeah, the batteries test good, and then do nothing else. And well, basically every weekend having to go take his truck to boost the big rig, and then pretty much anytime he shuts it down, there's a chance he might have to call the big rig or call a towing company to boost his truck to get it moving. Well, I was thinking of even like the cold weather does make it take more energy to turn over a engine, but at the same time, the cold isn't hard on batteries. It just really shows when batteries are bad. All right, so it's $180,000 to buy a new shop, which obviously I don't have because I just spent basically that upgrading my a couple trucks. But okay, we have done what we set out, and I am going to basically park the truck here, and we will pick this up again tomorrow. I think that's a pretty good looking truck. But this truck will basically be like this from now on. We finished upgrading our truck. We've got the truck we wanted. But so it'll be more of the grind next stream, but that'll be tomorrow. I hope you all have a good evening, good night, or good morning, whatever it is where you are.